I mean, all this.
Alright, we are good.
So we are live now. Look at that.
Mhm.
Okay. It's like a new technology. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, January 6th, 2026. Happy New Year and welcome to the House Transportation Committee and welcome back for the start of the 2026 House session. Full house, almost on time. Our most important thing why we're getting together today is to introduce you to and welcome our new committee assistant, Gabriella Clark. We've had a chance to meet a couple of different times. I don't know if you've met everybody yet, but I think you already know that I'm Matt Walker and I represent Swanton and Sheldon, and we are going to go around the room and
Welcome, Gary. Tim Corkin and I represent Bennington.
I'm Kate Lally and I represent Shelburne.
Molly Burke from Brattleboro.
I'm Chloe Tomlinson from Winooski.
Jim Casey, Addison Rutland One, representing Hubbardton, Sudbury, Whiting, Orwell and Shoreham.
Patty McCoy, I represent Pulteney, Ira, and part of Wells.
Chris Keyser, Rutland City, half of Rutland City.
Candace White, Washington County 2, and that's Warren, Waitsfield, Facein, Moortown, Duxbury.
Ken Wells, Orleans County, District 3, Orleans, Barton, Evansville, Westmore, Brownington.
Phil Ouch, Heinsberg.
and if you want to tell us anything about yourself, you're welcome to, and if you don't.
Anyway.
We'll all stay here.
And the four people.
There are 4 people, they'll keep quiet too.
Yeah, I am currently in college. I'm getting my associates currently in behavioral sciences. I plan on going to UVM to get my to double major in political science and just psychology. And then after that, I plan to go to law school. So I have a pretty decent track in mind. And yeah, I worked in retail before this. So this is completely change of pace for me, but I'm very excited to be working with every single one of you. I'm excited to get to know every single one of you, and I can't wait.
Great.
If you figure anything else out, go for it.
All we did was get some names on a petition. We did all of that work, or going to do all of that work. That's very exciting. And we have Damian Leonard from our Legislative Council and Logan moving from our JFO, all of our regular guests. I have you in the chair, but I'm not anticipating any significant policy answers today. I think that I would say, as far as speaking about the committee and the lineup for this year, obviously in my perspective anyway, and then based on everything we spent last session talking about, transportation revenue is still our number one priority and our number one issue. And we will, of course, await the budget address on January 20th and the T-bill that will follow. But regardless of where that's at, the transportation revenues and how it flows and how it gets addressed within this building is our number one priority. And I still ask that every one of you are continuing to talk to your colleagues and other committees about transportation. Remember where our flat revenues are and the challenges we're up and that we're only doing 100 miles of paving this year. And we have an awful lot of bridges, an awful lot of work. So that is, I would consider our number one priority. We'll talk about some of the other things that we're going to get through and go through. Over the next couple of weeks before the budget address, we will dig back into the 2025 T-bill. There are multiple reports that were asked for, all of which originated out of the Senate and not out of the House version. I like to make sure our colleagues at the agency remember that. And we will hear about those. We will ask for a follow-up on a whole number of issues that we worked on last year, from whether it was, we also know the new central garage is coming, the trails issue that we hit, the changes we made to public transit. We're going to take testimony on the rural transit changes in Franklin County and Washington County that are going on right now. And how that impacted, of course, Green Mountain Transit. Those are all part of what we'll spend some time on before we get to the budget address. And then, of course, we'll dig into the T-bill right directly from there. As far as housekeeping pieces go more directly, tomorrow morning we will hear from the Commissioner, Andrew Collier from the Department of Motor Vehicles, recalling that in November was modernization rollout, the last big step, and we'll expect an update there. We also had some changes in the T-bill regarding some license and renewals and how that was a big issue at the end of the DMV bill last year, and there's other pieces in there. So the commissioner will be with us tomorrow morning, and that's at 9:15. And then on Thursday, at 1:00, we'll have some other items on Thursday morning related to the right-of-ways and some reports, but Thursday at 1:00, the Secretary Flynn will be in for his sort of state of the agency, his portion of the, what's happened in the 7 months since we've left.
7?
6, 7.
No.
If you expect anybody to be hip, it's going to be Representative McCoy knowing up on the lingo. So, for that FYI, on Thursday at 1, the Secretary Flynn will, and his team will come in, and there will be, of course, some time for dialogue and discussion, but what's happened since we left, and any opportunity for us to ask our questions piece in terms of what getting people up to date. We'll spend that couple of weeks up to date. Friday, 11:00, downstairs, room 11. Is it? Actually, I would confirm that, but we have a joint hearing with our neighbors next door, Ways and Means, talking entirely about transportation revenues, making sure the Ways and Means Committee is up to speed with sort of the history, current status, and the trending that's been going on in transportation revenue and where it's broken down between fuels tax, obviously between gasoline and diesel, indexing to going to purchase and use, and other revenue sources that are add up, so that they will be up to speed entirely where transportation is. Thus, back to our number one issue, which is how are we going to fund transportation into the future and make sure we continue to maximize federal dollars. Our own Logan Moveberry is the star presenter on Friday at 11. So we will be all in attendance for that. I believe, like I said, it was downstairs with our colleagues at Ways and Means. So that sort of brings us our usual. We'll get the budget, then we'll dig into the T-bill. And then, of course, we'll look at anything new that we get on the wall and anything that comes from the room and pieces. I've spoken to all of you about some of your ideas and priorities, and you'll get a chance to talk more about that. And then we'll, of course, bring the T-bill up before town meeting and crossover, and then we'll switch over to the Miscellaneous Motor Vehicles Act. And I can assure you that we have promised as a committee that we would look at inspections. So no matter what that bill comes out of the Senate like, or what it comes out when it's released with the governor's address, we have promised our colleagues across the House that we will look at state inspection system, while also remembering that mileage-based user fee is also a commitment of ours. And right now they are intertwined. So remind your colleagues of that. And we do need to find how that'll be addressed. But I do want to be clear that those are both things that are on our lists of priorities, but we have promised as a committee we would look at inspections. Things I'm missing, by all means, feel free to jump in. I also have made a commitment on the request of the speaker that in that process, somewhere in there, in the next, I promise to do it within 3 weeks to 4 weeks, we will have at least a full day of testimony and activity around highway safety. There has been a number of, more than one, any one is too many fatalities, and we've now had several one-way drivers on the interstate going the wrong way. We've had several pedestrians very close to communities that we represent and across the state. And the speaker has asked me whether to push forward some work on highway safety and what we do today, if that's enough, and whether that would open up any piece that whether there should be more we should or shouldn't be doing, and making sure that we're all aware of what we do, both from public safety and within the agency. So that will be coming as a topic to you in the future, or in the committee's work this session. So make sure that we've hit most of the pieces. I know that I've asked Logan to work on a few things and Damien to work on a few things to be ready for the next couple of weeks. We don't have to hit all of those. I guess I would drop in as far as expectations. There are plenty of other things that I was interested in, but I also made a commitment. Representative Berkey really got my attention with this idea that a local options tax on fuel as whether a town or municipality would have the ability or not to consider a local option tax on fuel. I have done no research on it, but I do represent a community that has a captive audience of Canadians that buy every day in their community. I'm not saying that community is for it or against it, but I have made a commitment that we are going to hear more about that at some point this
Great. That
spot.
just came from my town manager, select board wanted me to pursue that. And that's where it came from because of revenue issues in town of Brattleboro.
I'm not for or against it. I'm very interested in learning more about it. And it, as far as the almost entirely southeast town to the almost farthest northwest town, you certainly got my attention there. So I know there's a few others that have some topics that they're hoping the committee are going to discuss. You have an open mic and others that are interested in the industry if you want to, or if you don't have to, but if you feel like there's some other topics that we didn't list off, we're not going to make a nauseam list, but also if you want to tell me about your favorite part of your European trip or your summer. If you'd like to add anything else, I certainly would open up the floor to that piece of it, but those are where I wanted to start as far as bringing everybody together today and welcoming our committee assistant. Open it up to any questions or additional comments or pieces that I missed. Representative White?
I would, if I could, I just wanted to introduce my UVM intern for the semester, Emma Watley, who is sitting right behind Representative Lally. And Emma's a senior at UVM, and she'll be here on Tuesdays and sitting on the committee a little bit and also other parts of the building. Just help me welcome them.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
How did Candace get an intern?
Since you're not allowed to ask her directly in this part. I would suggest after we go off camera that you go ask Representative White. She might have an answer for you. Representative Burke.
I have an intern. You received an email from somebody from UVM talking about this internship program and you could apply. So it's not discriminatory against.
Representative Burke, you'll have to define email. First, let's start. First, define email. Maybe Representative Wells.
It's a wonderful program. I get an intern for, this is my third thing. No, I think it's my 6th year in the program. Had great insurance every year. To connect you with them.
How about I just check with Molly now?
Let's see. If there's any other pieces that I wanted to make sure? There are obviously a lot more topics, but Representative Pouch?
Yeah, what I had written up, what I was going to work on, you pretty much covered them all. A couple others that we did look at delivery fees last year, looking at possibly giving those delivery fees to the towns that are impacted. And my eyes been open as I drive around on dirt roads around town, and these are the vehicles you see on those roads. The other thing is there's been a lot of discussions and concerns about e-bikes and what the rules are around them. So it might be good to begin to sort of take a look at what we have for rules and are they appropriate as that whole industry expands in a whole number of ways, including much more powerful and much more potentially dangerous. So that might be something else that I'm hoping we at least begin the process to look at.
Thank you. Representative Tomlinson.
It won't surprise folks to hear that I'm continue to be really concerned about and interested in ensuring we have appropriate funding for our public transit systems across the state, and particularly looking at more sustainable revenue sources for public transit systems. For GMT, I'm aware that there's not impending significant cuts this fiscal year, but I have heard of others around the state in Rutland, for example. So it's something that I think is really important to keep discussing and planning for a more sustainable future.
Thank you. Anybody else? Representative Moore?
I have a long list, so I'm not gonna go through all of it, but there are a couple of things I wanted to flag. I understand, I'd love to hear a little bit more about the Agency of Transportation's commitment to kind of pollinator-friendly sites around our state, our highways. And I understand that we got a grant a couple of years ago to establish 5 to 10 pollinator-friendly sites with signage. I haven't heard anything. I'd love to just kind of hear a report on how that's going or where that is.
That was through our committee?
It was in 2023.
Yeah,
So it was prior to, and I don't know,
sounds like a
I
different.
think it was a federal grant.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, but just would love to hear.
Yeah.
What's a pollinator site?
Okay, so pollinators,
Music or
so like,
something?
butterflies and bees and all the things that are important for, farmers and so forth.
Yeah.
So, native plants are really important to supporting a strong pollinator community. And so there are opportunities along highways. We do a lot of mowing on highways, but there's opportunity to stop mowing and to allow some of these areas to grow freely with, and you would, plant the correct grasses and shrubs and so forth that are conducive to supporting pollinator habitat. So I think there's opportunity to, number one, beautify some of the highways. Number two, educate visitors to Vermont. And we know that tourism is incredibly important. And I think also there's some cost savings opportunity. We know that we spend a lot, the Agency of Transportation spends a lot of money on mowing and trash, picking up trash and so forth. So if they can decrease the mowing they're doing, because we have pollinator friendly plants and grasses and so forth that don't need to be mowed, but that could be kind of a win-win for multiple parts of the state. Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just was curious as what a pollinator site would look like. Like, I got kind of a weird thought on it, so straighten me out, thanks.
So if I may, I don't know if you remember the new 4 between Castleton and Ira. Several years back, they had those big tracks of, they planted flowers, and I
Yeah,
think that's what you're probably speaking of. That's
Yeah.
pollinators.
cool.
And the other one I wanted to mention is bicycle safety signage. And there's been a lot of talk in our community. They really need signage to support. We have a very bicycle friendly area, but we're really feeling a need to educate people about the 4-foot rule, about areas where, bikers may be sharing the roads with cars. And I think that there was some legislation in the past that required some of the signage to be produced and shared with communities. And we're really feeling a need for this type of signage for, public safety. So just, I'm interested in hearing maybe just an update on how the agency, where they are in that project, and is there signage, and is it available, and so forth.
I suppose I have thank you. So thank you, everybody, for your interest in the bill to move money from the education fund to back to the transportation fund. I appreciate your interest, and just know that that'll be submitted on Thursday, and there's about 25 co-sponsors. Thank you all for taking that interest. I'm sure it's not going to go anywhere, but there it is.
That's not the spirit. Come on.
Oh, I'll get ready. Thank you.
How many roads are we planning? I heard you say a number earlier. How many miles of road are we planning on paving this year? Have you heard?
In the bill we passed last year, had enough funding for a little, it was about 106 or 103. estimated, of course, it could be more or less.
And so we're just gonna keep falling behind every year when. Like 200 miles each year.
That was, yeah, the general, well, that's certainly what some of the testimony would say is that, right, there's 3,000 state highway miles. And if you want to keep it on a 10-year average, 300 miles a year would be your goal, which we generally don't make it all the way to 300, and it's an average, so you don't, not all 300 probably need it. But in 100, you could on simple math, sure, fall behind 200. And that would mean you'd need 500 next year if you do another 100.
Yeah.
Pretty soon the math will get beyond my fingers and toes, but it won't take very many years to get substantially behind, and that's the fear that our committee faces.
You start changing the definition of what poor and very poor is.
Then
What's that?
You start changing the definition of what poor is.
the
Yeah.
quality of the road.
Well, that's what's gonna happen, yeah.
Right, and then, so, there is a surplus in government, in the state's revenues. Not in transportation, but there is an overall surplus. You've heard it talked about where we would apply it, and we're certainly in a spot as a committee that wants to advocate for what this as a core function of government needs. Some part of that money needs to be directed here, but we'll continue to work on that, and obviously we'll see what the budget says and what we need to do from there, but yeah, that's the highlighting of where we are at.
Is like a increase of a couple cents per gallon on fuel tax, does that bring us in the realm of
2.8, 2.9 million.
Every
penny.
every
penny,
penny?
you could on a real simple term say that every penny of gas tax is $3 million to the state.
No. I mean, I don't like the idea of it, but I mean, kind of push is getting kind of, pushed to coming to shove here, kind of hitting a brick wall here, gotta have to do something. I don't like the idea of it, but I don't think 2 cents a gallon's gonna, 2 or 3 cents a gallon's gonna, hurt my family too much, you know what I mean? But we should do something. I know some of these roads I ride across there. I gotta go to the dentist in a few weeks anyways, to fix a few fillings from last year.
Well, we know that on Friday, we're gonna hear all about that piece again, or not the tax per se, but yes, where our revenues are. For sure. Representative
I was
Lally,
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry.
it's worth considering that, we're phasing out the penny. So people are expecting that, most cases, that's gonna be rounding up, so there's an opportunity potentially here for.
Round up to the next dollar.
Well, I don't want to keep people for the sake of keeping them. I wanted to welcome you all back. It's really great to see everybody again. We all have a lot of passion for the areas that you're all interested in. We're excited about our new help. It's good to see our JFO and Ledge Council guys, and we will be starting tomorrow morning at 9:15 with Commissioner Collier is the current plan. After this week, the agendas will be updated regularly. We will be back into the regular setup. I do take the citizen legislature portion very seriously, as most of you do. And now I'm into this job. So, and last week I was not. So we will be caught up, and the agenda will go through, and it'll be much more available. Well, probably starting tomorrow, and then next week is already being put together. So I appreciate your patience and understanding for this week. We're going to start 9:15 tomorrow, and then on Thursday we probably won't start till 9:30 or somewhere in that ballpark, and we'll be done in time for the address. We'll have plenty of time to be ready for the address tomorrow and Thursday, and then Friday we'll have the joint hearing. We may or may not do something in advance. We have the floor before that, so we won't have anything else but that on Friday. So, Representative Cummings?
I think it was great to just hear from everybody on, their sort of ideas on transportation, things you want to work on. But most importantly, it's not too early to start thinking about the cabaret. which is-
It could be very well reversed if we started now.
And if we're gonna go there, then we might as well go to a field trip, and somebody would come up with the field trip ideas for this year and whatnot. The rail is always excited about anybody that can get involved in field trip ideas.
We had an interesting rail trip.
We had a tremendous rail trip up in the Northeast Kingdom this fall with the Private Rail Cars of America was our host, and Representative Burke and Representative Wells and I were all there. I don't want to leave anybody out. There were other people from the agency. There were other local reps up in that area, and it was quite an amazing trip. So I particularly I'd like to see us repair the culvert the same way they did back in the day with the Omnia tanker cars. So anyway, we'll put that story from there. Anybody else have anything to add? Thank you all very much. I'll